Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Between the Bases podcast. Today we are honored to be joined by Bobby Santoro, the beat writer for the Somerset Patriots. Bobby, how are you feeling today?
Feeling good. Thank you guys for having me on.
Excited to have you on too.
How many Pats? How are the Pats doing this year? They're doing good.
They're not doing bad. They're actually right now they're in first by a game and a half. They're up against Portland is the team that's in second right now, but they've been doing pretty well, all things considering. Obviously, Jason Dominguez was off to a slow start, but Trey Sweeney, Austin Wells, those are the big names who are kind of carrying them. Their pitching's been doing pretty good too. So I mean, they're really this past weekend they took 5 out of 6 from Altoona, which is the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So they look to be well on their way to the playoffs again, and hopefully having another shot at the Eastern League Championship.
Yeah, you mentioned Dominguez. Is there anything you've seen that he's like doing wrong with the swing, or it's just like can't hit it?
So to me, it with him this year especially, it was over here in Jersey. It was really it was chilly in the early spring. So he had never in his entire life played in like not freezing temperatures, but below 70-degree temperatures. So he's you think about it, he's from the Caribbean, and when he came up, he was coming up and playing in Florida. So it's always hot in Florida. It seemed to me he just was uncomfortable playing. I mean, anyone who's played baseball and like if you play fall ball or early in the spring, it's kind of uncomfortable playing in the cold.
Yeah.
So for him, it seems like as the weather warmed up, he started to warm up. So he's seeing the ball well. It's just he was getting unlucky on some hits and he was striking out a little bit, but he seems to be heating up now. He's been going deep and he's a solid staple at number 2 in the lineup for them.
Similar thing happened to Peraz last year with the cold weather, right?
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. So hopefully, as it keeps, warming up, he'll be fine. And usually they end, I believe, at the end of September. So it's not that cold when the season ends. So he should be fine.
Is there like a chance we see him in the major league level this year?
I don't think this year. I mean, I would love to. I would love it if that happened. But I mean, certainly there's, I feel like he's better than a lot of the outfielders in AAA right now, but they're going to give them more of a shot until then. I think there's a chance that maybe next year he can, I don't know what they think with Volpe now, how Volpe looked like he's kind of, struggling to get going a little bit, but he'll be fine. But I think maybe next year out of camp, you could see him.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he seems to be someone who obviously he's young, but I mean, he definitely has what it takes to be, one of the top players on the Yankees.
Is there anybody in this in their roster that could be in the Yankee lineup come October, or like anybody that can make a difference like in the coming years?
So hitting wise in the coming years, yes, obviously him and like Dominguez and Austin Wells. Trey Sweeney would be great, but right now he's blocked by Volpe and Peraza. So unless something happens to one of them, it's going to be tough for him to get up there. Pitching wise, there was a pitcher who his name is Will Warren. He was for the pitching for the Patriots earlier this year. They called him up to AAA. Now he's a starter, but he's one of those people who maybe in September, late September, they call him up to be a bullpen piece, and he has good stuff. There's a pitcher, Clayton Beater. A lot of the pitchers, I think, if they move up somewhat soon, you could maybe see them in the bullpen by the end of the year, maybe in high leverage situations.
Which prospects have really carried the Patriots this year?
So for carrying them, one is a pitcher. His name is Clayton Beater. He right now, I believe he leads the whole Eastern League in ERA. I got to look to see exactly what it is, but he's been for them. He's been a surprise. He's definitely their best pitcher who hasn't been called up yet, and they got him actually in the Joey Gallo deal.
Yeah.
Last year, so, yeah. So he's definitely he's been carrying them. I believe he's 5-2, so he has the most wins as well. He's definitely done that. There's Tanner Myatt, who's a relief pitcher who has. I believe he has 4 saves right now with them as well. Their pitching's really kept them going. The offense does explode at times. Like I said, Trey Sweeney. There's a man, Tyler Hardman, who's a third baseman. He's been having a lot of power, and TJ Rumfield as well. He came over from the Phillies, I believe. But the two they've had a lot of power. So that infield, including Wells and Dominguez in the outfield, have been really carrying them.
Who is a player that'd be best for like a trade partner? Like, are there any players that you could see that could be traded by August? Come the deadline?
Absolutely. I mean, I don't want them to, obviously, because after watching them the whole season, you begin to like them. But you could see someone like I believe he's the 5th ranked prospect in the organization, but Everson Pereira, who he's very good. He's been a very.
I play with him in the show.
I love it. He's fantastic, but he's been hurt. I know when I was at the game, he got hurt when Stanton and Donaldson were doing rehab assignments there. Now he's not on the injured list or anything like that, but he hasn't played in like 2 weeks, I believe, but he is supposed to be one of the better players that they have as well. Now, I'd like to keep him, but that's definitely a chip that people would like to see. Will Warren is also somebody who they could also trade as well. Now, these are people who are good enough to make it, but depending on what they're going after. Obviously, the Yankees need a lot of help right now, but we'll see. Yeah.
Yeah, the Yankees need a lot of outfield help.
You mentioned Trey Sweeney has been like having a great year. Any adjustments you've seen him make this year?
Well, I mean, to me, last year I saw him towards the end of the year, and it seemed like it's not much of. He kind of just seemed to be still getting his feet wet. This is his second year in Double A. I can't think back if he was there all year last year or not, but he definitely, as a leadoff hitter, he's shown a lot more pop. I know he homered in 2 straight games for them this past weekend, and he just seems to be now at shortstop. Obviously, all of them they're young enough. Like they need to still work on their fielding, and it's still a long ways away. But hitting wise, he's definitely I feel like he sees the ball well. He takes pitches. Not only does he hit for contact, but he can he has a good pop to his bat, and when he's hitting home runs, he's pulling the ball. So when he's hitting for contact, he's always going opposite field. So I feel like he's seeing the plate well, and he's not doing what a lot of hitters are doing now today, just trying to pull everything.
Yeah, tomorrow's a big day for the Patriots. Rodon's coming back. Is there anything you like to see? Like, is there any expectation of him? How many innings he's going to pitch? How many pitches he's going to throw?
So I learned this with Severino when Severino pitched for them. Now obviously there's a set pitch count that they have. Now it could be something I've learned that he could be, if say they have him throwing like 50 to 55 pitches, and if he hits pitch 55 in the middle of the bat, they don't care that it's the middle of the net bat. They'll take him out. So what I kind of want to see from them is with Rodon is making sure his velocity is up. Now you think about it, Severino got hit, and he's still getting hit, but Severino got hit in his rehab, but all these guys, they're getting up because Luis Severino's pitching against them, Carlos Rodon. So, they're really taking it seriously. These are all Double A players. You just want to see the velocities there, obviously that he comes out healthy, and that his breaking stuff is obviously, moving, and he has control. I mean, as long as everything goes well, and as long as he gets through unscathed, it should be fine. Everything should be good. Now, I know he's doing 2 more starts after this too. So this is really his first like in-game action, other than that one spring training start that he did. So
without hitting Willie.
Yeah, without hitting Willie. That's true.
Ian Hamilton pitched for the Patriots yesterday. How did he look?
He looked good. He threw an inning. He gave up 1 hit that was, I believe it was to center field. It was a double to center field, which is fine. But he had 2 strikeouts. Just gave up that 1 hit, and he actually earned the win for them. With him especially, he's like prior to this year, he was really a career minor leaguer. I know he had a couple games up with, I want to say it was the Twins, or he had a game up with the Twins last year. But it's good. It's a good story for him. He obviously is going to be thrown right back into the mix. So, they put him in a high leverage situation yesterday, and he was okay. We're trying to see if he's going to pitch. I don't know if he pitched tomorrow too, if they'll let him do that, like a day off in between rehabs, or if he's going to go up to the big leagues or not. But hopefully he's, I thought he looked great, and he's definitely a big part of the bullpen.
How did Bader look? Because I know Yankee fans are very antsy about Bader because they need outfield help. But is he like going to be playing the outfield, or is he going to be like DHing every day?
He'll be playing the outfield. That's why he wanted to stay down. He wanted to stay down for a couple extra games, basically to get his timing back, not even at the plate, but in the outfield is what he was saying. So he wanted to make sure he was all good with that. He was, I know the first game he was 0 for 4. He had a nice single. 2 days ago, I believe it was, but he's, he'll be fine. He's one of those people too, where he gets up for the big moment. And I personally, I know people are saying they don't want him. They don't want to commit to him yet because he gets hurt. I think he just provides a spark. Obviously him up, that kind of hurts Dominguez's chance of being a center fielder, but he could always slide over to left field because they need a left fielder at some point if Stanton's not going to play every day.
Are there any limitations?
To Bader, for Bader, there weren't any limitations to him. I know they took him out. I don't know if they took him out early the first game or the second game, but it's more of just kind of making sure that his feet are wet. So he's been fantastic. He's been fantastic. He's a nice guy. Got to talk to him for a little bit too. So hopefully, I know they put him back on the roster now. I think after they sent down,
Cabrera.
Cabrera. All right. Yeah. So I know he's back on the roster now. So he'll be there Tuesday, and hopefully, he's still the same old stuff, and he can stay healthy. Hopefully.
Who's a prospect on the Patriots that's like keeps getting overlooked? What's really a great player?
To me, it's I think TJ Rumfield. So he's their first baseman now. He came over from the Phillies. He's an under the radar guy. He can hit for power. He had a streak. I think it was against Hartford last week, going into this series too, where it's 5 straight games he went deep. So he's quickly become one of the better power hitters on the team. He has a solid glove at first base. So, I mean, with Rizzo, I don't know how. I mean, I love Rizzo as our first baseman, and at first, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I don't know if Chaparro's the first baseman at AAA. He's someone who I think he's overlooked. Now, will he make it to the bigs? I'm sure one day he will. I don't know if it'll be for the Yankees or not, but I know what I'm seeing from him is he has the power. Obviously, he can go on streaks. Obviously, if he moves up, or when Austin Wells or any of them move up to AAA, I know someone who's not overlooked, but Spencer Jones down in Single A is going to be someone who comes up to Double A, and he'll be exciting to watch too.
Stanton, Donaldson, and Canley were all in Double A at a point this year. Did they help out the younger players? What was the atmosphere like when they were there?
It was the atmosphere was actually very good, especially with Donaldson and Stanton. So I mean, I know Canley was great in the bullpen. Canley's a fun guy to be around. I mean, he's fantastic. Seeing them that game, I was able to get up close to, and seeing. When I know Trey Sweeney was leading off that game, so Donaldson would be on deck. He'd be yelling advice to him, saying, watch out for this. And same thing with Stanton, and Stanton doing it to Donaldson as well. So it definitely helped having them there. It wasn't like their ego was too big to be on the feet, down there with them. So I know they were happy to help out all the players, and it definitely helped the morale on the team as well.
Yeah, you mentioned Austin Wells before. We all heard the story about Volpe last week about how he changed Volpe's swing. Is there any difference in his swing since he changed Volpe's swing? Has he been hitting better at the plate?
I just feel like he's the same. He's been hitting the same all year. He's been a great hitter. He hasn't really gone on any big slumps. He's the one I'm excited about. I really think that he is. By the time when he comes up, which I would love to see him up this year, but again, he'd have to be called up like now and really perform at AAA to really be up. But I think that he's going to be the one who's the catcher of our future. Then again, what do I know? I also thought Greg Bird once was the first baseman of the future, so we'll see. But I do think that especially he's lived with the Volpes for a while. I know last year when him and Anthony were in Double A, they lived together, and at the beginning of this year as well. So he's very close with Anthony. And I know his swing, you saw in the series against the Mets, Volpe's stance kind of looked a little bit more like Austin Wells' stance as well.
Is Austin Wells a good catcher defensively? I know he's a great hitter.
So he's okay. As I've seen when they were playing Reading a few weeks ago, the only thing with him is I feel like his arm needs to be a little bit better behind the plate. I saw a few of the balls, like not that they're one hoppers, but I saw a lot of them just very low and they're kind of skipping towards second base. I know Reading stole in one game in the first couple innings. They stole, I think, 4 bases off of him. Now, how much of that is him? How much of that was, getting the timing off the pitcher? I just feel like defensively is something he does need to work on. Definitely has the bat. But I wouldn't be surprised, too, that if he's one of those people like Buster Posey who he could catch, but if they'll have him catch, but he could play first base maybe sometimes, too.
Yeah. The Yankees, though, like the front office, as a catcher, they always look for people who are good at framing. Do you know if he's good at that?
From what I've seen, he's been okay at framing. Yeah, now, again, too, it's kind of hard when you're sitting there, even watching at home, too, like, the cameras for minor league baseball aren't as good as MLB, but you can see he does, like, he's all right. Haven't seen nothing special, nothing bad. That's what I would say. So, obviously it's something you work on in the spring, but nothing to be alarmed about. But I wouldn't say he's like great at framing right now.
Yeah, can we do rapid fire?
Sure.
What is your favorite minor league jersey other than the Patriots?
Other than the Patriots, I would say, God, what is it? Hudson Valley had one where they were. This is stupid, but Hudson Valley had one where they were like the apple cider donuts or something. I thought that was hysterical. There was like a big donut on it. I just thought it was funny. So I mean, not that I would ever wear it, but I thought it was cool.
What is your favorite minor league stadium other than TD Garden, TD Bank?
So favorite one is actually an independent league over here. It's in Sussex County, New Jersey, but they're called the Sussex County Miners. It's kind of like it's out in the middle of nowhere. It looks like almost like Field of Dreams in New Jersey. So I love that.
What is your favorite minor league team name?
Oh God, it's got to be. There's a team called the Modesto Nuts. I found that's funny too. They're just literally their mascot's a peanut. So I think it's hysterical. There's that, or there's obviously Savannah Bananas are good, but they're not real minor league. So
the Trash Pandas are up there. The Pizza Rats. It's definitely the Pizza Rats.
That's a good one too. Yeah, absolutely.
Or you can go with the classic, the Staten Island Yankees.
Yeah, sure. I've never been out to Staten Island to see them too. I've always wanted to go there, and even to Coney Island to see the Brooklyn Cyclones too. But I have to get out there.
What is your most interesting conversation you've ever had with a player?
With Severino, actually, recently. Just after the game, that was the game that Domingo Germán got thrown out for sticky stuff, so he didn't know that. So after we talked to him, we actually said, Germán got thrown out, and he was just it seemed very thrown off. So just talking to him about that, he was giving us advice on how it could be rosin, how everything is ridiculous this year. So it's pretty interesting to talk to him about.
one player in the minors other than on the Patriots that can make a difference in the MLB?
Yeah. God, not gonna be so rapid. What's his name? The kid this week, this kid Matt Gorski, who played for Altoona. He is, I believe, a third baseman. I got to double check that for you. But I was watching him play this week. This is a kid with like gap to gap power. Not even. I mean, he's more of a double. He hit a few home runs this weekend, but he's had some good doubles. He's someone for Pittsburgh who also has a lot of young players too. I could see being big.
Do you have any cool stories about like meeting players when they like on rehab assignments?
Yeah, I mean, so recently this is the first year I'm doing this for like every day, like meeting players. So obviously, Sevi was the big one. I got to be there when they interviewed Donaldson and them. It's just very cool. It's cool to see how while they're down there, they're first off they're a lot bigger in person than they are on TV, a lot bigger than you would think. But it's cool to actually just see how they're just after interviewing them how they're just normal guys. So I mean, it's very as both a fan and someone who writes about them. It's awesome to see. It's getting close to people. Even with the Patriots, Sparky Lyle's always there. He's always in the press box. Someone who my dad loved growing up. So it's surreal to think that you can meet them and see them. But for writing for Pinstripe Prospects has opened that for me. So it's awesome just to talk to all of them.
Is there any expectation when Spencer Jones is going to be called up to Double A?
There's none yet. I haven't heard anything. I want him to be called up. Him and there's a pitcher Drew Thorpe who I believe they drafted last year. They're both I think they both should be called up soon. I don't know if they're not like with Jones. I don't know if they're going to call him up when Austin Wells goes up or when Jason Dominguez goes up. I'd love to see him with them there. I just don't know. I know he's had some great streaks down in single A, but I know recently too he had an 0 for 13 slump. That's fine. It's going to happen. They're kids, but I personally think that he should be called up soon. I wouldn't be surprised if it's within the next month, like by the end of July. I would be shocked if he's not in Double A.
Apparently, he's really hot right now.
Yeah, right now he is. Yeah, and before I know I was watching. I think he had three. I think he went 3 for 5 yesterday. He's had a few 3-hit games recently, so he's been well. I mean, as long as he keeps that, he's going to force their hand. So he's someone who obviously can be called up this year and maybe even next year out of camp. Not start with the Yankees, but start in AAA next year. So maybe end the season with Double A and just start right up at AAA.
Yeah, I mean, Yankees would love that. Last question for me. Is there anything like on Oswald Peraza? I know you're not AAA, but is there any expectation you know when he's going to be called up?
Yeah, I think the issue with him is that, I mean, obviously he should be called up. He's had great stats, and even watching him from AAA, it's been great. The issue is, I feel like the Yankees when they had Volpe on the opening day roster, which I'm guilty of. I wanted them to have him on there too, and I love him. I think he'll be great. But you can't have a kid like that go from basically Double A to the majors, struggle, and just send him down right away. So it's hard that they're blocking him. I would love it if they could call up Peraza and maybe do something with Donaldson or a move's going to have to be made for him to be called up. He deserves to be up now, but I feel like he's just blocked too many ways. So something's got to happen either by the deadline or sooner rather than later to see when he gets called up. But
I mean,
get a shot.
I've heard this out there that the Yankees don't want to call him up because then they're risking like he struggles in the majors and then he's not a good trade partner.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've heard. Have you heard anything like that?
I can see that. Yeah, I can see them using him as a trade chip. It just depends for who, because you got to think if they're using him as a chip, it's going to have to be for somebody. Like I know they need outfield, but they also need pitching right now too. So I would be afraid. I don't want this to happen, but people have been saying maybe they use him in a package to get like Shane Bieber from Cleveland, and I don't think Shane Bieber is the answer. Yeah, I'm not about that. Especially not for Peraza. So they could use him, but it's just I think he's a good trade chip. It's just a matter of who they go after and who they get, because it can't just be for someone who was good last year but is struggling this year and thinking he's not a lightning in a bottle trade chip. So.
Last year Anthony Volpe in the minors, his OPS was around 800, hit 250. Why do you think the Yankees decided to call him up instead of a guy like Peraza, who this year has been hitting 290 with an OPS over 1?
Absolutely, I think they called him up because first off, he has that kind of like big time, even though he's been struggling, he has that big time atmosphere around him. When he's up, when he does make, now granted his batting average is down, but he still has, his power numbers are good. Now his OPS isn't great, but he at the beginning of the year when he wasn't getting out of it, I think he's in his own head, because at the beginning of the year he was walking multiple times a game.
Yeah,
he was seeing the ball well. Like at least he wasn't hitting well, but he was still getting on base. And when he's on base, he can have stolen bases. So now because he's in his own head. He kind of I feel like he chases a lot more. So I mean, it's all about being a kid and being a little bit overmatched by some of these pitchers. But sending him down, you don't know if that's gonna work for Mickey Mantle back in the day. They sent him down, but they didn't send him down until mid-July. So I know. I know it's going to take a little bit for him, but hopefully, he turns it around. Not having Judge there has to hurt too. I mean, I know Judge is in the dugout sometimes with him, but it seemed like when he started to heat up, him, Judge, and Rizzo were just connected at the heels. So
We have a fan question here. Do you feel most studs don't necessarily need AAA, that most development in AA?
I don't. I do think everyone needs to. I think it's showing now too with Volpe. I think everyone, even though he is like Volpe was a stud in the minor leagues, it just shows that how big of a jump it is from AAA to the majors. Even from going from I think he played 8 games in AAA last year, so basically going from AA to the majors, how better the stuff is, and I think you do need seasoning now. Once you commit, I think because they committed to him, it's going to be hard to send him down unless he continues to be just. A month from now, we're talking about the same thing. But I do think they need each year of the big leagues. Even with Dominguez, if Dominguez came out, Dominguez had a great spring. They sent him down to they put him. I didn't think he was going to be in AA, but they sent him back to AA, and he's still showing that he needed to get going a little bit more in AA to even move up just to AAA.
Yeah,
Bobby, the Cardinals at the beginning of the year, they called up Jordan Walker, and then after 16 games, they sent him down. Why did the Cardinals do that? Why don't you see why do the Yankees so reluctant to send down Volpe?
I think because Cashman and the front office are stubborn. They're very stubborn in their own ways. Yeah. I know. Now, granted, the same thing though. I feel like everyone was saying Volpe was the next. Not saying he's the next Jeter, but he's the next person who can be the homegrown player. Everyone wants the next Aaron Judge so bad now too. Someone who came up through the system, and when Judge first came up, even someone I think he came up with Tyler Austin back then too. Like even with them, Tyler Austin would flip, but when Judge came up, he did so well that they kept him here. He had that kind of aura about him, that aspect about him. So I think that's what they thought they had in Volpe, which they still could. Obviously maybe being around Austin Wells more might help. So, I mean, obviously, we'll see what happens with them, but I think it's all about who he's around. He definitely is a little overwhelmed at this point, and not to say he's a bust because it's way too early to say that, but he just might need some more time. So we'll see how it goes the rest of the year with him.
Yeah, I went to one Somerset Patriots game last year, and they benched him that game.
Yep, I went to 2 last year. One of them, he tried to bunt to lead off the game, and he popped out, and which is why he tried to bunt this year too, and he popped out too, and he made an error in the other game I'm at. But it's like he definitely seems like he's a gamer. He's someone who wants to be there. When he gets on base, what I thought, especially at the beginning of the year, seeing him on dance around on the base pass, he can impact the game. It's a matter of him getting his confidence as a young player.
Yeah.
Mo, anything else you want to add?
No, nothing. Yeah.
No, thank you for coming. Enjoy your college baseball World Series in the background.
Yeah, thanks. I've been trying to get into that more too, so I can see for the minors next year. But yeah, we'll see. Well, next time, any time to be on the show, if you guys ever want me back on, happy to do it. And I appreciate everything.
Yeah, thank you for coming on. Remember to like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys later.